Broski, it's T and I'm back. Gonna do a quick recap of Greg Doucette. It's how long should you rest between sets? More sets, more growth. Wow, for a gym slave. Okay. I don't understand how you get more growth through rest, but I guess the glycogen is able to absorb in there to get these phony muscles. Yeah. All right.
The more muscle you build, when the less rest you do, the more you're doing cardio. Does that make sense? Is cardio the best way to build muscle? If it's not, then resting clearly is.
Of course, because you guys are all endurance athletes now. You're building sarcoplasmic muscles. It's an energy source, ATP glycogen. See that?
Coach Greg, in today's video, we're going to be going over how long should you be resting between sets. Many people think that the shorter you rest, the better. That 1 minute or less, that is what you need. And if you're resting any longer than that, well, it's because you're lazy, you're checking out your phone, or because you're just not...
No, he just said because your cardio is building your muscle. He's right. This is what you guys get when you're trained athletes coming in the gym. All of you are getting this. See, when you're a trained person, you coming in the gym doing high resistance volume training, you are all endurance athletes because this is based on glycogen, this sarcoplasmic hypertrophy in young men. Trained young men are largely attributed sarcoplasmic hypertrophy because that is what they tell you here. It's based on glycogen. See that? Glycogen, sarcoplasmic, glycogen, broski. Yeah. Why is that? Because you're not building muscle anymore, man. Reach the myonuclear domain size limit. When you first come in the gym, you get this. You're untrained. You get an infusion of the satellite cells. It donates its nuclei, and bam, hypertrophy. And then when you detrain, retrain, that teaches you there's no more. It's ended. See that? You get these nuclei, untrained muscles, previously untrained. Get these nuclei, form, blah. And then it reaches a myonuclear domain size limit, like it says here. In MND size limit, PubMed, it reaches an MND size limit. MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to support further muscle growth. There's no muscle growth after this, the newbie gain. And then what happens? You're trained. So if you're a trained person coming in, you are an endurance athlete, because this is based on endurance training, and you are eating an artificial diet, a carbohydrate diet, and this sarcoplasmic fluid in the sarcoplasm expands exponentially. It gets huge. So what type of muscle growth is that? What type of muscle growth is this? Well, it's really easy. I'll tell you what type of muscle growth that is. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy is a type of artificial muscle growth. You train the muscle for no other reason than to visually increase its size by increasing the amount of fluid it can hold, but does not increase the density of muscle fibers. So it's artificial. And you're training it to hold a lot of this glycogen, an energy source in the form of glycogen in the muscle. So that is what all of you are getting in the gym. That's what he's saying. Do more cardio, you get more muscles. You do.
Man enough to train harder than last time, but nothing could be further from the truth. Well, what the research actually suggests is that longer rest times are in fact better for both muscular strength and for hypertrophy, which is to build a muscle bigger than friggin' last time. And so the title is, if you're resting only 1 minute between sets, you need to watch this. And so by the end of the video, hopefully you will understand that lifting, it's not a race. It's not the faster you work out, the better, and that perhaps if you're...
you need to draw more of that artificial glycogen and create artificial muscles by resting between, to giving it a chance to absorb the glycogen that you ate before you came in the gym, so you can create these artificial muscles, these artificial sarcoplasmic muscles. That is the whole point. Isn't that your goal coming in the gym? It's all aesthetic in growing these muscles, right? You're building muscles in the gym. Lifting, even cardio
between sets.
Even cardio builds muscles. Look at these cyclists. They're doing cardio. They're on a bicycle. Look at their legs. They're massive. Sarcoplasmic hypertrophy legs, broski. Yo, man. You get it, bro? How do you think they got those legs so big? Oh, you thought that lifting a heavier got you a bigger. Not really. Eating a more of glycogen and fluffing and pumping is going to get you a bigger. But it's not going to get you a stronger. Myocytic androgen receptors will get you a stronger by compensating your body with receptors for that force production. But I ain't gonna get you muscular stronger because that muscular stronger ended a long time ago. Sorry.
Chit-chatting it up with the girls at the gym that you are in fact doing it right.
I've said that resting 2 to 3 minutes is generally the best for gain. So was I wrong about this one? Well, let's talk about it.
And
You see this product right here? This product is paying me over $10,000 every single month.
3 minutes is generally the best for gain. So was I wrong about this one? Well, let's talk about it.
so is it better to rest 2 or 3 minutes between sets or to rest 1 or fewer? Picture Fit's gonna argue that he was right all along, 2 to 3 minutes rest. But was he actually right? Well, let's see what the research says.
We are talking about muscle growth and muscle growth only.
And so the first thing I want to...
Yes, muscle growth. Muscle growth has many modalities. Can muscle grow through an inflammatory response? Yes. Lactic acid? Yes. Blood flow restriction? Yes. Sarcoplasmic artificial muscles too? Yes. Myofibrillar growth? Yes. Newbie gains? Yes. Bionuclei? Yes. Fiber splitting? Yes. See what I mean? Well, all of them have their own domain. They end at some point. You understand? Some end, some continue, some don't, some do this, some do that. You have to know what you're doing, what you're aiming for when you go to the gym, but nobody does. They just think, I gotta get a stronger, get a bigger, and all this bullshit stuff. Yeah, okay. Lifting, these are what I call lifting slaves. All of these people are lifting slaves, listening to this gym slave here.
point out is why would anyone ever rest more than 1 minute between sets, rest in 2 or 3 minutes, if it's going to take you 2 to 3 times longer to get the same results? Imagine, you go to the gym for 2 hours and you could have gotten the same gains in 40 minutes.
See, you can get the same gains in 40 minutes by wolfing down more of these of glycogen, of these carbohydrates. Yeah, man.
Why would you do that? Well, you wouldn't. It would be analogous to watching a 30-minute TV sitcom and every 1 minute pausing the screen, sitting there twiddling your thumb for 3 minutes, and then unpausing it and watching the show, which is 30 minutes long, over the course of 2 hours. Why would anyone do that? Well, the answer is they wouldn't. Unless perhaps they're watching Coach Greg and Chill and they're doing sexy time in between in the pauses. And then that makes more sense. And so unless you're in the gym extending your workout because there's a hot chick at the gym somewhere and you're trying to talk to them, well, you wouldn't be resting that long unless it offered you better gains.
People often recommend something like...
See, you resting, unless it was offering you better gains by resting. Resting creates gains, broski. Get it, man?
doing 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 12 reps and resting only about 30 to 60, maybe 90 seconds between sets.
And when you ask people how long you rest...
Christ, this resting is very important to create more of these artificial gains, broski, yes.
Between sets, one thing you have to understand is people are clueless. They have no idea what 30 seconds feels like.
Yeah, they are definitely clueless. They're clueless, and they're relying on you. Your lifting slaves are relying on this gym slave right here, right? Greg Doucette.
Unless you're literally timing your sets, you have no idea how quickly...
See, 2.5 million are relying on him. Yeah.
30 seconds goes by. And so I've coached thousands of people...
He's coached thousands of people. I think he's coaching millions out there. Man, he's got a lot of lifting slaves he's coaching out there, this gym slave. Pied Piper, all right.
One thing I always ask is, how long do you rest between sets? And for the most part, people say 30 seconds, 60 seconds, sometimes 90. Very rarely do people say 3, 4, maybe even 5 minutes. When I time their sets and say, how long does your workout take? I quickly realize that 30 seconds they said they're resting, it's closer to 2 minutes. And so the reality of it is this. If you're only resting 30 seconds or even a minute between sets, you are not recovering. It takes approximately 6 times longer than it took you to do the set to recover from it. And so if you took 30 seconds...
Yes, I believe that.
To do a set, probably going to take you 3 minutes to rest and recover from that set. And so if you did a set for 30 seconds and rested for 30 and repeated that, you're going to get so tired, not recover from the previous set, that the amount of reps you're going to get is going to be lower than last time. Perhaps on the first set you did 12 reps, then 6, then 4, then 3. You simply can't recover. And so to make up for that, you're using a much lighter weight. And so think of it.
You can't recover because you're an endurance athlete. You simply can't recover. You need to be able to recover. You endurance athletes working out in the gym, you need to recover. It's very important. You need to load in the glycogen. You need to load in the electrolytes and get them all back in there after the workout. You have to make sure to create more get more of this energy, ATP, into the muscle in form of glycogen. Yes, of course, we know we're getting an aesthetic look at the same time, a phony, fake, artificial muscle growth because we're blowing up, hypertrophying this because of the energy stores getting inside the muscle. But we need that because we have to keep coming back. We have to keep coming back, recovering, and doing this over and over and over again like the gym slaves that we are.
Put your thinking caps on. Instead of bench pressing 225 for a set of 12, you're now putting on 135 because you're weaker, you're not as strong, and so you're holding yourself back.
Of course, you're holding yourself back. You're weaker, you're not that strong at lifting. Shoot, dude.
Are you really training to failure if you're using weights that you could lift on a warm...
That's the trick. Train to failure and it'll compensate you with more of these androgen receptors. You'll get better at lifting that weight. Yes, that's a good stance.
I'm upset? Of course not. When you're lifting weights, doing cardio, these are forms of exercise.
See, when you're lifting weights, doing cardio, because you guys are all endurance athletes now, like it said there in those reports.
And one of the main differences between lifting weights and running, for example, is the...
What's the difference between weights and running now that you're a trained athlete? There's no difference. It's all cardio, broski.
Repeated nature of the running. When you're running, you're putting a repeated strain.
You're an endurance athlete. You're putting strain on everything. Lifting is putting a strain. Running is putting a strain. It's a strain.
On the muscle for minutes or perhaps even hours. But when you're lifting weights,
you are all fucking endurance athletes. I don't give a shit what anybody says, man.
You're doing it for multiple seconds. And so the overall stimulus on that muscle, what causes it to want to change, if you're lifting weights, it gets it bigger.
What causes it to change or get bigger, whatever?
If you're running, it makes you faster, but not perhaps bigger. Is the proximity?
Oh, it makes you faster, but not bigger. How does it make you faster exactly by running? Well, you're getting better at running, right? It's sort of like getting you better at doing that. It's all cardio. It's making you get better at doing something by compensating you with something. Like androgen receptors, it'll compensate your legs with androgen receptors, giving you more force production. Do you understand me? And that glycogen, it'll store in the muscles, and they can make you bigger because they hypertrophy through sarcoplasmic. What is he talking about?
Each of your 1 rep max. If you're using a very light load and doing very high repetitions, it's not going to stimulate that muscle to get as big.
It's not going to stimulate it to get as big? Light loads, high repetitions? Of course it is. Because providing you eat glycogen. More glycogen you eat, the more you can store this glycogen in the muscle, and it will hypertrophy. Get it?
As if you're using a heavier load for lower repetitions. But because of that, you're relying...
No. The heavier load will compensate you with more androgen receptor strength. That's what it'll do, because your body will compensate you with that. Because that domain has ended. There's no more muscle growth, the real stuff. Yeah, it's not giving you nuclei, man.
More in your anaerobic lactic and anaerobic alactic energy system. Your muscles...
Yes, anaerobic and aerobic. You're an aerobic instructor, broski, yes.
Are fatiguing, you're running out of ATP.
See, you're running out of ATP, you're fatiguing, so your body is going to absorb more of this glycogen after the workout. There is a window for glycogen synthesis. Protein synthesis does not matter anymore here. You are not growing.
Energy to actually put out that effort, as well as you're building up lactic acid, and you feel that burning have to stop. And because of that, you need to...
Man, muscles stop growing at 15. They reach the domain size limit, and then they reach one more domain limit when you come in the gym, and then it ends, and then that's it. It's over.
Give your body a rest. You need to have it time to recover. And so if you only rest 30 to 60
you need time for it to recover because you are an endurance athlete.
Seconds, you're not giving the body the recovery, the time that it needs. And so your output is then diminished. It keeps getting worse and...
Yes, it's diminished. The output, this, that, yes.
Worse
yes.
and worse. Because all bodies are different. Picture Fit points out 2 to 3 minutes. That is how long you need to rest. But remember...
He says 2 to 3 minutes to rest. Get more of that glycogen in there.
It's very important that you like the way you train. And so if you enjoy training...
Elevates certain anabolic hormones like growth hormone and, of course, the ever-popular testosterone.
And so...
Less rest? Oh, okay, I see that. It stimulates these hormones. And then they crash after you lift. Did you know that when you go home? They crash. You crash your testosterone. That's why everybody's complaining about low testosterone. They have a low sex drive now.
Why do people think that resting less is better? Well, it increases GH and testosterone more than if you rest longer. So what? Having
the myocytic androgen receptors, it doesn't control the mass. It doesn't control the mass of the limb muscles. What controls the mass? See what I mean? It controls the strength, but not the mass.
GH and testosterone levels for that brief period of time peri-workout, it's not going to make a significant difference in the amount of muscle hypertrophy you gain by working out.
It's not. It's just a spike, and then it goes away. And every time you increase this GH, you age. You accelerate aging when you do that. You accelerate aging by lifting because you're an endurance athlete, bro. That's what comes with, you know what comes with endurance, doing this endurance work? Disease and shit, accelerated aging, a whole bunch of stuff, stress. It's very bad for you.
And so just because you have a spike in GH levels, spike in testosterone, doesn't mean you're going to build more muscle. Case in point, all those...
You're not building any muscle. Reach the myonuclear domain size limit, but you are building artificial muscles. You will build more of these artificial sarcoplasmic muscles, yes.
Morons out there saying that if you fast, GH is going to go up by 800+%.
Yeah, that's a defense mechanism. If you starve yourself, GH goes up. It's to protect you because you're dying now. That is dumb, too.
Maybe 2,000%. Well, show me a guy who fasts who looks like a Mr. Olympia competitor. It doesn't
Nobody. It's bullshit. It's just to keep you alive because you're dying.
happen. And so just because GH levels go up because you don't eat doesn't mean it's...
They go up because it's a defense mechanism. You're dying to protect you. You're dying. Your body is only made to keep you alive. That's its job.
Building more muscle. And the same applies to when you're lifting weight. Just because GH and testosterone levels go up when you're training doesn't
them to have any meaningful effect on muscle growth.
And so think of it. Do you know what offers the less rest possible? Cardio. And so do you really think that my
You are doing cardio. All of you are cardio.
growth hormone levels are going to be
Bullshit.
to what you're doing? And you want a more specific or not. There might have been changes. They might have been positive, but they weren't statistically description.
Whatever.
You know what to do.
This is a waste of time.
And then you
What's he say here? This is bullshit, man.
for perhaps 2 or 3 minutes on the bike, and then you sprint for 30 seconds. So what more do you need to know? Regardless if you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, resting more in a minute builds more muscle, period.
As for the rationale behind more rest,
builds
it
more
comes down to
distinct
two
sarcoplasmic
essential factors
muscle.
of muscle growth that have been repeatedly supported by the science.
But why? Why, Coach Greg? Give us
Why?
And so if you're going up and
This is boring.
so if you're keeping 2 or 3 reps,
Muscle gains.
so it's crazy to me. Less rest is better for.
This is best for muscle gains.
So it's crazy to me. Less rest is better for muscle gains. Why would people think that? Let's again.
I have no idea what they're talking about. It's all fake anyways. The whole industry is built on a lie. It's all fake. All of you are wasting your time. I'll see you in the next one. Like, subscribe, comment down below. See you in the next one. Support the algorithm. Yes. See you in the next one. Ciao, friends. This is such bullshit. How long do you need to rest between sets? To do what? To build these gym slaves. How long do you need to rest? To build phony muscles.